I'm going to say something that might not be very popular. I don't actually believe in work-life balance. At least not in the way it's often talked about. Because if you're trying to build something, really build something, there will be seasons where it takes more time, more energy, more headspace. And that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. I think work-life balance has been sold to us as this end goal, this perfectly even split where everything feels calm and controlled and equal all the time. But honestly, that's just not been my experience of building a business, and it isn't something I've seen with any of the successful leaders I've supported over the years. And I don't actually think it's realistic for most people who are growing something, because growth requires input. If you're new here, I'm Holly Copsey, and this is the Visionary VA podcast, where I share what it really takes to grow a sustainable, profitable VA business. When I first started my business, Virtually Priceless, back in 2018, over the last 8 years while I've been building it, and even now at different points when we're pushing for the next level, there are weeks, sometimes months, where the business needs more from me, where I'm thinking about it more, working more, problem solving more. And yes, that means other areas of life might take a slight step back for a period of time. I'm currently going through a ridiculously hectic period. I'm in the middle of an intense business growth program with Goldman Sachs. I took over the VA Handbook a month ago. I've had 2 speaking commitments in the last 2 weeks, and I'm away traveling at least 10 days across this month. I'm recording this episode on a bank holiday because I have to squeeze work in wherever I have free pockets of time right now. But it's not forever. It's a season. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, because they're trying to build something while also holding themselves to this expectation that everything should feel perfectly balanced all the time. So when it doesn't, they think they're failing. They think they're doing it wrong. They feel guilty for working too much, or not switching off enough, or not being as present as they think they should be. But what if that's not actually the problem? What if the problem is the expectation? Because instead of chasing balance, what I've come to believe in is something slightly different: work-life integration. For me, that means work is part of my life, not something completely separate from it. It means I've built a business around the things that matter to me: my children, my horses, my family, time at home, time away. But it also means accepting that there will be times where work does take the lead, where I'm in a busy season, where I've got events, travel, big projects, or just a lot going on behind the scenes. And instead of fighting that, I lean into it. I have the conversations with my children and my other half. I explain what's going on, why things are particularly busy, what my business needs from me right now, and what support I need from all of them. I might get up early to crack through a couple of hours of work before they all get up in the morning. I might work late into the evenings. I might duck out of a few school runs or say no to a trip to the park after school, because I know it's not forever. And this is something I really want more VAs to understand. Not every season of business is supposed to feel the same. In the early days, it's very much a building season. You're learning, figuring things out, putting yourself out there, trying to get clients. It takes energy, it takes effort, and it's scary and exciting all at the same time. And yes, it probably feels a bit scrappy and unbalanced at times. Then you move into a growth phase. You've got clients, you're busier than ever. Maybe you're thinking about raising your rates or bringing in support. Again, it requires input. You're stretching yourself and doing things that feel uncomfortable. And then, if you keep going, you start to move into a more stable phase. You've got systems, you've got support, you've got more control over your time. And that's where more space starts to come back and things feel a little more structured. But you don't get that later season without going through the earlier ones. And I think sometimes the online space skips that part. It sells the flexibility, the freedom, the work from anywhere lifestyle without fully acknowledging what it takes to build to that point. And the truth is, building a successful business does require a significant amount of time, energy, and focus, especially at certain stages. There's no way around that. But, and this is really important, that doesn't mean burnout. That doesn't mean running yourself into the ground. And it also doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Because when you're building something that's yours, something you care about, something that's aligned with the life you want, it doesn't feel the same as working long hours in a job you hate. It feels purposeful. It feels like progress, even when it's hard. So instead of asking, how do I create perfect balance? A better question might be, what season am I in right now? And what does this season require from me? And then, is this aligned with what I'm trying to build? Because if it is, then maybe it's okay that things feel a bit out of balance for a while. The goal isn't perfection. It's not having everything evenly distributed at all times. The goal is building a business and a life that work together, even if that looks a bit messy sometimes. And over time, if you keep making intentional decisions, if you keep putting the right things in place, if you keep growing into that next level, you do get more space, you do get more flexibility, and you do get more choice. Until you do silly things like me and take on a second business. But that's a story for another day. But remember, you have to build it. It's not stumbled into. So if you're in a season right now where it feels like a lot, where the business is taking more of your time and energy, I just want you to know that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It might actually mean you're doing it exactly right. And you don't have to force yourself into someone else's version of balance. You get to build this your way. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Visionary VA podcast. I'll be back on the 21st of May with the next one. If today's episode resonated and you have a lot on your plate right now, you should check out episode 17, where I talk about managing overwhelm and how to recognize and reset. I'll pop the link in the show notes. And finally, please do like, subscribe, and follow wherever you're listening. It really helps us reach more incredible VAs just like you, and I will be forever grateful. Thanks, and see you next time.